Okay, now I have my dye pots on the cooktop. Nearby, I have some plastic down so I don't make a mess on my countertops. I've got a glass jar or container. I've got a little measuring cup here that I'm going to fill with vinegar. After I've spent a half an hour or longer bringing the temperature of the inside of the jars up to as close to 200 degrees as I can get. It's hard to do when they're inside of a jar. Then I'm going to lift out the yarn, let it drain a little bit, put it into this jar and put some vinegar in. So that's what I'm waiting for that next step. In the meantime, I've got these jars of water inside. I've got water filled to the top of the dye bath, and then the jars are sitting inside. In this container, they have a little wire rack they're sitting on. In this one, I've got a silicone hot pad down there just to keep the jars from rattling on the bottom of the pot. I have chopsticks that I'm stirring with, and you need to stir not constantly, but every once in a while. The more you stir, the more even your dyeing will be, but then you don't want to agitate so much that you're tangling the yarn and felting it. So right now the temperature is still real low. It's just at 100 degrees. So after it gets up to temperature, we'll look at it again. Okay, so I got my temperature up to 190 degrees in the jars. So now I'm going to pull out with the chopstick a skein of yarn. I'm going to set it into this glass jar, and then I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of vinegar. I'm going to stir it very well to get it distributed, keep the yarn from getting blotchy, and then I'm going to return that yarn and stir it well. I'm going to repeat that with all the other dye pots. Stir very frequently and for 15 minutes, and then I will repeat that action. Okay, the heat processing of the dye pots and the yarn is complete. I've removed it from the cooktop and have it sitting aside to cool. It's late in the day, so I'm going to let it cool in the hot water bath overnight, and then in the morning I will remove it, rinse out the salt and the vinegar from the little dye pots, and then let it air dry. But I thought I'd just show you by lifting up a jar that it's pretty much colored yarn sitting in clear liquid. That is true for the paler shades. For some of these deeper shades, I can still see there's some dye remaining in the water, but I am quite sure that in the morning when I go to lift the jars, they will all, even the darker shades, be sitting in the clear water. The dye will have transferred as it's cooled, but we'll see in the morning.